Russia launches missile attack on Kyiv. Hours after Trump blames Zelensky, Russia launched a missile attack Thursday on Kyiv, killing at least 2 and wounding dozens. Hours after U.S. President Donald Trump lashed out at Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for refusing to accept Moscow's occupation of Crimea as a peace deal. The Ukrainian capital was attacked by enemy missiles in the early hours, with flights of drones heard across the city by AFP journalists as residents hid in bomb shelters. City Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said 2 people were killed and 54 others wounded so far in the attack. Of these, 38 of them, including 6 children, were hospitalized, he said, adding that the rest of the wounded were treated at the scene. In Ukraine's east, the city of Kharkiv was hit by 7 missiles, said City Mayor Igor Tyrkov, who later warned that a massive drone attack on the city continues. Stay safe. Tyrkov said on Telegram. Hours earlier, Trump had said a peace deal was very close and effectively closed with Moscow, but accused Zelensky of being harder to negotiate with. The Ukrainian president's refusal to accept U.S. terms for ending the conflict, which began with Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, will do nothing but prolong the killing field, he said. I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky, Trump told reporters. I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far it's been harder. Ahead of Trump's broadside, Vice President J.D. Vance laid out the U.S. vision for a peace deal where Russia would get to keep already occupied swaths of Ukraine, which include Crimea. Zelensky has rejected this as a violation of Ukraine's constitution. That in turn prompted an outburst from Trump, in which he accused Zelensky of being inflammatory and taking a position very harmful to the peace negotiations with Russia. Zelensky can have peace, or he can fight for another 3 years before losing the whole country, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Trump said Crimea, a lush Black Sea peninsula with long-time major Soviet and Russian naval facilities, was lost years ago and is not even a point of discussion. Zelensky responded by posting on social media a 2018 Crimea declaration by Trump's then-Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, which said Washington rejects Russia's attempted annexation of Crimea. As Kyiv was bombarded with a Russian missile attack, Zelensky's top aide took to Telegram, saying Russia is attacking Kyiv, Kharkiv and other cities with missiles and drones right now. Putin shows only a desire to kill, said Andriy Yermak. The fire must stop. The attacks on civilians must stop. 9 weeks into a US-initiated process, Trump's patience was running very thin, White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt said. Intense US pressure on Ukraine to accept a deal comes after Trump regularly boasted on the campaign trail that he would resolve the conflict in 24 hours. He has put no equivalent visible pressure on Russia, while dangling a lifting of massive US economic sanctions against Moscow if the fighting stops. Meanwhile, on a trip to India, his deputy Vance gave the fullest public explanation of the U.S. plan so far, saying the deal would freeze the territorial lines at some level close to where they are today. The Ukrainians and the Russians are both going to have to give up some of the territory they currently own, Vance said. Freezing the front lines would mean Ukraine losing large areas to Russia. The vice president did not explain what territory Russia, which seized Crimea in 2014, would have to give up. It was time for Moscow and Kyiv to either say yes, or for the United States to walk away from this process, Vance said. Growing speculation over Washington being ready to recognize Russian rule over Crimea has alarmed European capitals. French President Emmanuel Macron's office said Ukraine's territorial integrity and European aspirations are very strong requirements for Europeans. A spokesperson for UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer told reporters it has to be up to Ukraine to decide its future. Top Ukrainian officials wrapped up a round of talks in London on Wednesday with representatives from Britain, France, Germany, and the United States. U.S. presidential envoy Steve Witkoff is to visit Moscow this week, and Trump said he would likely meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin shortly after his trip to the Middle East in mid-May. Swipe left for next video. The diplomatic wrangling and strikes on Kyiv came after a fresh wave of Russian air attacks that shattered a brief Easter truce, killing 9 and wounding at least 30 more. In the southeastern city of Marganets. In light of the attacks, Zelensky has called for an immediate, full, and unconditional ceasefire. Latest blogs.